Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Before we get started, please consider subscribing to my channel and possibly becoming a patron. Now this video has been prompted by a subscriber, a viewer, who wanted to, it asked me if I would do a video showing me doing the full design of a 3D print. Now you've got to remember that I'm very new to this, so I'm going to show you warts and all. So this video is going to be quite long. I'm going to show you warts and all when I make a mistake, when I move it the wrong way or whatever, so that hopefully it doesn't discourage people to give things a go. You know, you've got to go for it and give things a try. Now, what I decided to design is this aeroplane up here, my clouds aeroplane. When I fly at our airfield, which is actually not grass, it's sandy, the elastic band goes right round to hold the canopy on, because that's a very old aeroplane. It's been battered and it's not very square, but I just love flying it. So the rubber band went right round it. So every time you land, then it scrapes along the runway, of course, because there's no grass, and then it breaks the elastic bands. So now I've got a 3D print. I decided I'm going to make some sort of connection either side of the canopy and then put a rubber band over the top just to maintain it in position. So I thought this would be a good one to actually film and show you me making my mistakes and producing this print. So let's switch over to the computer and we're going to use Tinkercad. Now I have mentioned Tinkercad on my channel before, and it really is good. I did about, I would say, half an hour on it and I could start designing things with it. So anyway, let's switch over to it and I'll show you how I designed this clip. Now let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is make the disc. So I'm going to need a cylinder here. So I'm going to pick it up and drag it across. Now we need this to be, let's have a look, it's going to be 10 centimeters, sorry, beg your pardon, 10 millimeters. So we're going to click there and sorry, this one should be that one there, click again, 10. So, and let's just enlarge this so that we can have a look at it properly. Okay, now the thickness I want that, I would say about 3 millimeters. So we're going to drag this down to 3 millimeters. Okay. Let me center again. There we go. Sometimes it can be confusing to get the thing to center. Now we've got the outer part, and that is through. I don't think that's too thick. So now we've got to make a cylinder go through this. Now the way we do that is we need to get a plane, a work plane. So we're going to grab that and we're going to put it onto the top. So if we rotate that round now, you can see our cylinder is at the bottom. Now we're going to grab now another cylinder and pop it on top, which is obviously way too big. Now this, I decided, I think this should be 3 millimeters. So we're going to go there, type in, oops, daisy, 3 millimeters, and this one here, 3 millimeters. Whoops. So there we go. Okay, so we're going to rotate this over. Now if we move this on the bed, now get it into each one of those is a millimeter, so if you can put it square into there, it's going to make it easier to get this square as well. So we're going to pull this over and let's enlarge it, rotate it. Okay, so you can see that center line there. So we're just going to use the cursor keys. Let's go down to the snap grid and change that to 0.1 of a millimeter, just to make it easier to guide. So we're looking at, that should be 5 over, and if we rotate this around, Let's have a look. I think we've got to go up there. Let's have a look. Look at the top. That looks like, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly, but that is looking, that looks fine. Okay, oops, there, back there, there, there. Okay, now what we can do is, we need this to be 10 millimeters, the height, the total height. So let's just pull that down. We're going to grab this and we're going to make it 10 millimeters. It's easier to type it in. There we go. Now what we need to do is drag that through, and what I want this to do is to go 4 millimeters into this circle here. So we're going to grab there, and we can see, well, got to go in. So this is 3 millimeters thick, so we've got to go down 7. So we can go onto there, type -7, and now, so now if I can show you that. So now I've got, this is the bit that's going to be on the outside. This is the bit that's going to go into the fuselage so that it can be glued. Just have a look to see if that, I'm sure I've got that square. Let's go top and flat there. Yes, it looks right. That looks, oh, we could come down a fraction. Let's have a look. And over there. Okay, so now we've got the piece, so I can look at this, you know, when I do my sort of draft drawing of it, I can look at how far things go and is it too big or too small. I don't think this is, you know, so you may have to reprint another one. Now what we need to do is kind of nick in this part here so that the elastic band grips to it and it doesn't pop off. Now the way we do that is we grab a plane, and I need it to be on, let me just make sure that it's where I need it. Yes. So we now need to grab one of the hole boxes that will give us a hole. Okay, and that needs to be, we can make it, let's type it in actually. I think the height would be 4. Width can be 4, and this can be 4 too. Right, now we need to get that center onto that line there. Let's just see if we can drag it over. I'm going to change the half a millimeter so we can get better resolution. Okay, that should be it. Let's rotate and have a look. Okay, you see that's going in too far. I don't want it to go in there. So we're going to have to pull that up. There we go. Pull that up. Just Control Z. I made a mistake there. And we need to force that into the wall. And that should do it here. We should be able to push that through. Right, let's just enlarge it and take a look. Okay, now you can see that's not doing what I want it to actually. Well, it sort of is, but let's bring it down, back out a little bit to about there. And right, now we're going to lower this. Let's have a look, maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, you see, this is what I'm trying to get to have a nick in this that will allow the elastic band to stay there. Now what I want to do is move it this way. That's too far, so that's a centimetre, so let's change that to 0.25. and see if that, okay, again that's too much. Let's change it to snap grid at 1.1. I think that will be it. So I'm halfway through the dowel, and that should allow the elastic band to grip. Now what we can do is just pull this down. I don't want to cut into the bottom circle. Oops. Let me just Control Z that and bring that back out again. Let's have a look. So we could make this, let's make that 2mm. Enter. Maybe 2.25. Let's try again. And then we want to pull this down again. So just like that. I think that's it. So if we zoom out, now what we need to do is we need to take this plane off of there. Now we can see our 3D print. Actually, I'm going to click on here. Let's just make sure they're not grouped. They're not grouped here. I need to get onto this one if I can. And you see it's very coarse. Now we can change this. If you watch you'll see it becomes a lot more accurate. So I'm going to make that 40 to make it just look a little bit smoother. Okay, so we're going to do that. Now, so that should be what I'm looking for. So now what we can do is group this by highlighting, and now you should see, I could have actually brought that a bit low, but I think that will work. And I think I've got enough surface area to glue this into the fuselage. So now all we need to do is export it as an STL file. There we go. We can open that. And there you can see it. Simple thing. I could have actually probably made this a lot narrower, but it has got to hold the canopy on. So let's see. I could have made that thinner. Anyway, let's put it in the printer and see what happens. Now let me show you the process of slicing. Now the slicer literally slices the 3D print into layers so that it can be printed by the printer. So let's open this up. I'm going to use Cura, Multimaker Cura. Now I have got my ANET A8 working, the one that was given to me. I had to buy a new thermostat for it and do some modifications and change the firmware on it. But I'm going to use the Ender 3 Pro, I think, to print this. It's because there's filament loaded in it. Right, there we go. Now let's just take a look at this and see. Right, you see the marks there. This means that it needs support. And it doesn't matter if I can't see a way of rotating this so that we wouldn't have to use supports to print this. I just wanted to show you that. So what I'm going to do, we can now change this printer over. Okay, and that's set up on PLA, and it hasn't got PLA in it. So what we're going to do is click here. We're going to change this to eSun, and I've got PETG, which I'm testing, which apparently is better for RC aircraft and drone printing because it's more flexible and stronger. And I have printed a GoPro mount, and it does seem more flexible. Okay, so there we go. Now we can slice it. And you see it's going to take 7 minutes to print. So let me send it to the card. Now the printer's going to do the Z-axis. It's going to use the probe there to check where the Z-axis has to go down to. So you take off the Z limiter switch. You don't need it. Quite interesting to watch this do its thing. For anyone who doesn't know 3D printing, what it's doing, it does this line first to get the extruder sort of working properly, and then it does like a skirt. You can do a brim, so it's now drawing the skirt around where it's going to print. This is just all in preparation for it to print. I assume it's to do with the hot end, that it makes sure that it's up to temperature properly. And there we go, it's going to print now. And there we go. Now this can happen, when I printed it, it was way too small. I thought the sizes would be okay, but they're actually way out. But of course this can happen. So what I'm going to do is double all the sizes. So that means we need to click, we've got to get them ungrouped. Let's just make sure that ungroup them all. Okay. Now we click on here and we click there. We're going to make that 20. Oops, that's my keyboard, wireless keyboard connecting slowly, and 20. Okie dokie. Now let's just let's see if we can recenter that on the grid. There we go. Now we're going to go to the, so it's quite easy once you've done the design to adjust it. So this now needs to be, we're going to make that, I think making it all double the size should do the trick for me. Oops. And 6. Okay, again, we need to move that into the center of our print. Let's move that up. Okay, whoops, daisy. Let's just get that like that. There we go. Now we're only on one. We've got a snap grid of 1.1, so let's make that a bit bigger so that I can move it a bit quicker. There we go. That should be centered on that line, and that should be centered. I'm normally quite good at sighting things up. That looks centered, yeah. And we've made that 6mm now, so let's just rotate. Yes, I think also I need to adjust this one. So at the moment we're at 10. I think we may need to take that to 20. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to undo that and see if I can adjust from this side. Don't think, can I? Okay. Click there. Make that 20. And we are going to just pull this out. Oops, this one. We're going to take it up to, what should we have, 10? There you go. I think that will be better because it was way too small. Now we've got a rotation on this. You see that has moved. Oh, not that. Let's just, oops, snap onto this. And we can rotate until we get it square. There we go. And we can move that back in. Let's go to 1mm at a time. Over to there. Okay. And across into there. So that's not going to be right now. I'm going to rotate it again. Okay, until we get it square onto that peg there. There we go. And now we need to move it in. So let's have a look here. We need to drag this up. I've worked out that the rubber bands are 4mm, so we need a 4mm gap in this. So we say 4.5. We would be safe then. And it wants me to turn it square on. Let's do it like that. Alrighty, and now we need to drag it up because it looked like it was going through there then. I don't want it to go through there. Oops. Let's see, I think I've changed the angle of it now. So sometimes you have to play around a bit to get it where you want it. Whoops, oops, oops, oops. There you go. This one. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Rotate again. And struggling with that now. So it doesn't always go smoothly. Okay, why is that doing that? There you go. I've obviously done something with the offset there. Okay. So this needs to be wider now. Click on there, click on this one, let's make that 8. There we go, and we need to push it through so I get the holder. You see, sometimes you've got to play around with it a bit, so that could actually go in a bit further, couldn't it? So it gets a bit confusing which button to push. There we go. And can I drag this out just a bit more? There we go, just to make sure. Okay, we should be good there now. I just want to nudge that over. Oh, not that much. Let's change the snap grid. Maybe about there. Hopefully that wall won't be too small now, because the one I just printed was way too small. I think that should be okay. So what we need to do now is group it. There we go, we can take a look at it. Yeah, I think that will be better. I think that's going to work now. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just going to export it as an STL file. And there we go. I'm going to put the pictures up either side of the clip, close up, so you can have a look at it to see what I made. And I do hope you found this interesting. I know it's rather a long video. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, then I will try and answer them for you. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. Bye for now.